Pardon this brief interruption. I just wanted the folks that are watching to know that the Michael Jordan hierarchy posters are still available. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the Michael Jordan hierarchy playlist on this very channel. You won't be disappointed. These posters are incredible. Over 400 have been sold. Here is an image of what the front of that poster looks like. It's branded, it's high definition, it's glossy. It's got images of well over 300 of Michael Jordan's best cards separated into tiers. Many people are using this as sort of a guideline, sort of a checklist on how they want to collect Michael Jordan basketball cards. And on the back of the poster, maybe the best kept secret, is one of the largest Michael Jordan pack odds lists in the entire world. Guys, the posters are available, over 400 sold. I have plenty of them in inventory. All of the details on how you can order these posters are included in the YouTube description to this and every video that you see on the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel. All right, guys, Bryan with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. You guys may have heard that PSA recently, in the dark of night, lurking in the shadows, changed the standard for front centering on PSA 10 cards. They moved from what has traditionally been a 60-40 minimum to a, in writing, designated 55-45 minimum. What effect will that have on the grading world? Your decisions of what to grade, what not to grade. Is it different for vintage now, decision-wise, than it was for, ultra modern? I don't think this is going to have too much effect on like vintage. When I say vintage, young people, I don't mean 1990s Jordan cards. I mean like vintage, 1970s, 1960s, 50s, 40s, pre-war stuff. Most people who were submitting cards from those eras, that, half century, 2/3 of a century, we're not expecting PSA 10s anyway. So I don't think this is going to have a deleterious effect on the quantity or the quality of the grades that people receive. I think that it'll be pretty much business as usual for those of us who are sending cards in, from, pre-1980 or even 1980. The effect this is going to have maybe that there's going to be a little bit of a stranglehold, a little bit of a tightening of the PSA 10 GemRate. And when I say GemRate, go check out GemRate on Instagram, because the only way to know if this change, and let me pull it up on the screen here, and you can see it, attributes of a PSA 10. This is what PSA defines as a PSA 10. Attributes include 4 perfectly sharp corners. Okay, sharp focus. That means no fuzz, right? Registration, I think, is the buzzword that vintage collectors like to use. And full original gloss. Obviously, we can have no paper loss or any gloss loss or anything like that, or any scuffing of any foil. A PSA 10 gem card must be free of staining of any kind. But an allowance may be made for a slight printing imperfection. I'll be shocked if that was actually allowed. If it doesn't impair the overall appeal of the card. The image must be, here's where we get to the nuts and bolts, right? The image must be centered on the card within a tolerance not to exceed 55-45, meaning if it's 54-46, you're fine. If it's wait, did I get that right? 70-30? Yeah. If it's 56-44, you got a problem. If it's 60-40, now you got a problem. Whereas before this, for whatever reason, unannounced change, tightening of the requisites from 60-40 to 55-45. Now, if you're 56-44, you might have an issue. Right now, here's the deal. I've got a confession to make. I've never got a tool out and measured the centering of my cards. Now, part of the reason for that is I'm not sure PSA does on every card. I'll be quite honest with you. Like, if somebody thinks that, they're getting in hundreds of thousands of cards on a weekly basis, and you think that they're taking a tool to your GemRate Chronicles base rookie card and measuring the centering, especially on cards with no borders, I think you're fooling yourself, because it's my understanding every card's graded in less than a minute. A total less than a minute. So I highly suspect they're not bringing out a tool, and you can say they're using AI technology. I don't know if they are or not. It might be a good question to ask Nat, but I will be shocked if they're pulling out a, Stadium Club card with no borders from the 1990s and measuring, and, if it's a 56-44, you're out, buddy. You can't get a PSA 10, but if it's a 53, 47, you're good to go. It could be PSA 10 quality. I highly suspect that they're not measuring. I don't measure. So that's just me. Like, and again, most of the cards I send, if I get a 10, it's a Grand Slam home run. If I get a 9, I'm really happy. If I get an 8, I'm okay because I'm getting my money back. That's the kind of cards I send. Now, ultra modern shiny flipper types, it's PSA 10 or bust. You better get that PSA 10. So maybe this does apply to them, especially, the one of ones, the gold, and, one of ones, I guess is a whole different animal, but the golds, the high, for soccer, the reds, the serial number to 5, where a 10 is, 12x what a PSA 9 would be. Maybe this change really does have an extremely big, dramatic negative effect on your potential grading results. Check GemRate. GemRate is going to give us the answer. So we're not going to know overnight whether this is really a change or maybe they were just already doing this and they had never changed the verbiage on the website. But I do know this, right before the COVID pandemic, PSA really tightened their standards. I know some of you guys and gals have gotten into it post-pandemic. Before the pandemic, I was sending in ultra modern shiny. I was the ultra modern shiny flipper dude. I was sending in Giannis base rookie. It was, modern flipper dude, not ultra modern, right? Because I was sending in Giannis base prism rookies, Giannis silver, Giannis colored, Giannis hoops cards, De'Aaron Fox base prisms because you could make a fortune on that stuff. Doncic base prism, silver prisms, all that silly stuff, right? The Michael Porter Jr. era where people were trying to grade all those cards and flip them, and you could make crazy money doing that, and you had to get PSA 10s. But here's the deal. I was getting orders back of 100 cards, and I would get 75 to 85 PSA 10s. Those days are over. I don't know what channels you watch or who you're watching, but I know this, and I'm grading harder cards to grade now. I'm not grading shiny, glossy, chromium type cards, but those days of getting back 80% PSA 10s, those days are over, especially if you're talking about 90 stuff, if you're talking about early 2000s chrome color stuff. If you're talking about thick cards, you could forget about it. A 10 is a shot in the dark. It's Sasquatch. It's a 4-leaf clover. But what effect will this have? You guys let me know. I don't have any answers for you, but guess who does have an answer? GemRate's going to have an answer on Instagram. Let me see if I can find those folks on Instagram real quick. Let me go boom. Let me go search. Let me go GemRate. Here it is. This is the site here, guys. GemRate. No underscores, no capitals, no exclamation points, no nothing, no emojis, just GemRate. They're grading analytics. They're fantastic. 10,800 followers, just slightly less than Cajun Cardboard. 111 posts. Every time they post something, it's relevant, right? It's like this. It's like, here we go. So we know in January, PSA graded 1.3 million cards. That's up 7% month over month. That's up 7% year over year. And then if you kind of scroll to the right, they'll give you total items graded. They'll give you gem percentages. You can go to their site, which is probably significantly more helpful. And I'm just clicking from Instagram to Instagram. Let's see. I'm trying to find one where it just kind of gives you, well, this is not a great example, but this is just showing you the quantity they grade. But they also let you know gem percentages and how those things are moving and changing from, day to day, month to month, week to week, year to year. So GemRate is a great page on Instagram to follow, and they'll let you know, whether or not PSA tightening the screws from 60-40 centering to 55-45 is really going to have an effect or not on the gem percentage. Again, it's been really hard. We're going to need a lot more time to get a large sample size, and you're really only going to look at cards that are graded, ad nauseum, some of these high print run cards to really get your answers. But the question remains, maybe PSA was already strict on centering, and maybe they were already employing 55-45 grading, and they just now decided to put it in writing on their page for whatever reason. Why they didn't announce it, I have no idea. I think people may be making a bigger deal out of this than it is. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you think this is, if you see anything different than me. This has no effect whatsoever. Again, I'm an affiliate partner with PSA, but I do try to call it like I see it. It's been scattershot and really sort of arbitrary whether I get a good grader or a bad grader. I'll just call it like it is. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of consistency. I haven't gotten a grading order back recently. I've got a couple of them out there with all Jordan cards, so I am excited to get those back. And there has been a slowdown because they've been getting inundated. There has been a deluge, if you like that word. It's probably a word I shouldn't use in Louisiana because it, usually is referenced towards flooding, right? Which we have a problem with down here in South Louisiana. But there's been a deluge of cards being sent to PSA for grading and CGC and SGC. Not so much Beckett. but I am an affiliate partner with PSA, so keep that in mind. They do pay me almost nothing. The only way they pay me is if you're a first-time grader with PSA, you can use the promo code Cajun25, CAJUN 25, and you'll get $25, basically a free value card off your first submission with PSA. So if you're looking to grade with PSA and you've never done it before, consider using the promo code Cajun, CAJUN, the number 2, the number 5, and you'll get $25 off your first grading submission to PSA. So again, I think I've received a total of $75 from PSA. So I say I'm an affiliate partner, probably in name only. You guys do know that that is my grading company of choice because that's where the money is right now. So if you want to turn raw cards into graded cards and flip those cards for profit or invest those cards and you just want to maximize the value and the worth of your cards, PSA is my personal choice for where I send my cards. This has zero effect on me. Anybody who watches the channel who thinks like me, who collects what I collect, 90s basketball cards, 90s baseball, football, maybe you even dip into the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, anybody, 2010 and before, I don't know, man. Maybe 2000 to 2010, this will have some effect, but like from 60% to 55% tolerance, it's just not enough of a change, really, that I don't think we're going to see anything, meaningful as far as gem percentage changes from this point forward. So I don't think this is that big a deal. I do think it's odd that they didn't just release some kind of announcement or put it in a newsletter or a weekly thing. Maybe they did. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think they did. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this a big deal for you in the way that you collect, the types of cards that you grade? Let me know in the comments. Just curious to get your thoughts. If I missed anything, let me know. I don't think they changed anything as far as surface, corners, or edges, right? We know there's 4 criteria when you grade a card: centering, surface, corners, edges. I don't think anything in the other 3 categories changed as far as PSA's grading standards, but centering, it looks like a marginal tightening of the screws. So we'll see what results this yields. Thank you guys as always for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. And peace.